Hi everybody, Jeff Yastine here, Total Wealth Insider. I have a question from a Facebook user who asked, where is the best place to invest for the next 12 months in the stock market? And my answer is in select cybersecurity stocks. We believe that cybersecurity stocks are going to go through a major up phase over the next 12 to 18 months to 24 months possibly, and part of what's driving that is high profile breaches of data, which we've seen in recent months. One of the most recent ones is the data breach at Equifax, the credit reporting firm. So we see that as a major driver of corporate spending on cybersecurity products. And we actually have two cybersecurity stocks in our portfolio, and we'll be adding more as the months go by and we see additional opportunities. And the amazing thing about the cybersecurity sector, there's an expected $1 trillion in cumulative spending that's expected to go into that sector over the next 4 years. So I hope that answers your question. And I have another Facebook user question, and this questioner asks, what should I do if the stock market heads lower? Now, for the Total Wealth Insider portfolio, we use a type of system that's called trailing stops. So if a stock heads lower and if a stock starts trending higher, we have a series of trailing stops underneath it, meaning that if the stock trends higher and then turns down, if it crosses through that particular trailing stop price, that is our signal to sell the stock. Likewise, if a stock is perhaps in the red and the broader market heads lower, we know that we're only going to lose a maximum of somewhere between 10 to 15 to 20% on a stock. The lower you can keep your losses, the better off you are overall, and that's a key element of the Total Wealth Insider portfolio. And there's another question that's come in from a Facebook user who asked, how do you pick stocks, Jeff? And my answer to that, I have two ways. One, I do a lot of screening of stocks through a charting system. And what I'm looking for are stocks that have done well in the past, but are now trending lower and then having bottomed out. And that's just sort of a place to start. What I'm often finding are companies that are in some sort of change in their product cycle, and quite often as a company goes through this like trough in their sales and their products, Wall Street tends to lose interest, so the stock gets sold. Then as that company brings out new products, the stock gets more interest, analysts start talking about it, and the stock heads higher. I'm of course also looking at measurements of value, price earnings ratios, cash flow levels, those sorts of things. And I'm also looking if the stock pays a dividend. It doesn't mean that if it doesn't have a dividend, that I'm not going to recommend it, but they're all elements in the stock picking system that I use. And I have a final question, a last question from a Facebook user who says, how much of a stock should I buy? And I get that question all the time. What I tell people is you should figure out what is your total overall portfolio value. And then, so let's say it was $10,000, or it could be $100,000. You don't want to lose any more than a half of 1%, or perhaps as much as 1% of the value of that portfolio. So you can do the mathematics. So if you're buying a stock at 50, you know that there's a certain level, and we publish those trailing stops, where you can get out. And you can do the mathematics of it, so you can determine if you buy here and the stock goes up, that's great. If you buy at a certain level and the stock goes down, you know immediately where you're going to sell at, and when you sell, you're going to take a small loss. Again, a half of 1%, or perhaps 1% of your portfolio value. That way, you can make a number of bets, you can be wrong, and you can still live to fight another day, so you can find those big stocks that are going to more than make up for those small little losses you have. So I hope you enjoyed the answers to the questions. I get them all the time, and this is something I really enjoy doing. It's part of the educational process that all of us go through as new investors, and even when you've been investing and active in the stock market for a long time, there's always more that you can learn, and there's a lot of lessons that you have to relearn. So I hope you enjoyed the questions, and please send more when we open the page again.